going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we have got a brand new tactic. It is going to be an updated Hansi Flick tactic. I've seen the comments and it has been under quite some demand for a while now, so I thought let's get it done. Now today we are going to test with obviously Barcelona, Hoffenheim, and I've thrown in Bromley as well. The tactic performs over pretty much any league we stepped into. We've got 3 variants today, so you need to get all 3, copy all 3 or download all 3 dependent on the team you're playing as a little reminder, because some people do forget that. Let's get into it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for 30k. Let's get into it. So first up, we are going to do the test with the main team of the video, the team that makes sense. That is going to be Barcelona. Now with Barcelona, we enjoyed a great season, not only winning the Spanish Cup, as you can see here, 4-0 over Valencia. We also go on to win the Spanish First Division, which we are going to talk a bit more in depth with, and the actual Champions League, we beat PSG 3-0. Lookman having a great season there. A little random shout out, but this tactic done very well, apart from the Spanish Super Cup, which Real Madrid were a little bit too tough on the day. We actually lose, but only on penalties. They are a good team, probably the only real team alongside of Atletico Madrid, who actually finished 4th this year, who can go toe-to-toe with us. Lewandowski obviously done Lewandowski things. Balde thrives in the system. Rafinha also does. And Wojciech Szczesny is going to pick up the most, I was going to say assists then, the best pass completion. That would have been a season. Going to the team stats, we are going to outscore everybody, as you would expect. A good amount of the ball, 57%. Pass completion also there with 90% of the ball. The most shots, the fewest shots against. And when it comes to the actual defensive side of the game, we were absolutely remarkable. Now, the data hub is going to look like this. 3.89 goals a game, only 0.37 conceded, 19 shots a match, a good pass completion, and a very good tackle win ratio. One thing that I noticed about this tactic is it's the perfect balance between having a good amount of the ball, but also having a lot of shots and scoring a lot of goals. So that's what you really want. As a rule on this channel, if you get to a Champions League final, you have to watch the highlights. And I tell you what, this game was actually quite easy. Yamal there is going to get a great assist for Rafinha, who was one of our key players this season. De Jong finds Lewandowski, a great header past Donnarumma right there. And we go on to actually lift and win this final 3-0. So it wasn't really a competition. Balde is going to pick it up down the left, a little ball in. It is so easy. We'll take it. And the same can be said with Hoffenheim. I will say not as dominant. I mean, we won the season literally on goal difference over RB Leipzig. And unfortunately, in terms of the European League, if we go to that quarter-final, you can see a 3-1 loss, which is a little bit unfortunate. But at the end of the day, we're Hoffenheim. We're not expected to go and win the Bundesliga, let alone the Europa League. The Pokal, unfortunately, as well, we can see against Frankfurt, who actually go on to win the game. Unfortunately, a 1-0 loss, but to be honest with you, we've won the Bundesliga. The stats aren't going to be as incredible because we're not Barcelona. We have done incredibly well, only losing 3 games. Those games being against Bayern, a real big team, and 2 teams there that you could argue maybe we should be beating. But even in this league, as a weak team, 58% of the ball. The pass completion's also absolutely remarkable in the top 3, which is good. Bayer Leverkusen with 92%. Goals being scored, we are never going to outscore Bayern, but I will say 75 goals are going to be going in our favour, which is really, really good. And in terms of the actual rest of the stats, fewest conceded, most clean sheets joint with Bayer Leverkusen, and the data hub pretty much talks for itself. You're going to expect to see less goals with a team like Hoffenheim. Obviously, we are using a defensive variant as well, so it's a little bit more sort of calm and passive. Conceded at 0.65, a good pass completion, and again, we've still got the consistent tackle win ratio and the very good shots per game. So overall, there's not really too much to complain about. Now over to Bromley. But with Bromley, I don't think I have done a test with these, if I'm right in saying. Of course, they are a bit of a weak team in Sky Bet League 2. We have come out and actually won that league, only losing 4 games right there. And I tell you what, I went a little bit rogue with this one because I thought, let's use the attacking version and try and catch all the teams off guard, which we did. And obviously, it did work quite well. We do lose 4, as you can see. None of them are batterings. We do also win the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, but that's realistically like a happy meal, so it's not really much to talk about. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, both quite early exits, but against 2 definite better teams than us. But looking at this as an actual league, we have done incredibly well. Yes, we're not going to have loads of players with tons of goals, but in terms of the team stats, as a team, we actually did outscore everybody. Possession-wise, despite us being on the attacking version, which is not known for being as sort of controlling, we still have a lot of the ball, with 57% of the ball. We also had quite a fair few shots in 3rd place, and defensively, we were absolutely sound. And the same can be said for the data hub. 2.39, very similar to the Hoffenheim stats really. But it just goes to show, regardless whether you're playing in England, Spain, Germany, whatever level you're at, whatever league you're in, you can get results. It all depends on what tactic you use, what variant you use, and how you approach your games. Make sure you always come out of holiday, if you're holiday simming, tweak things, go in with different variants, because, for example, with Barcelona, I'm not going to go in balanced on every single game. If I need to get back into a game, I'll switch to the attacking one. So you got to make sure you come in and out, because these results are mixed in terms of the variants and in terms of the teams. And despite not having as many goals with a team like Bromley, you still have these games where you are beating teams 3-0. This game, yes, against a weak team in Accrington, but you are going to get these games where you do stampede teams. I mean, a good turnout by the fans right there. A great start to the game in that regard, and you can see now we're in the 80th minute and we're still playing out with a load of confidence with a team like Bromley, all the way from the back into Dennis in the middle. I mean, in terms of Bromley players, no disrespect, they're obviously no Barcelona, but we're making them look like Barcelona with this tactic. Dennis down the left-hand side, just pause it here, look at the pass and options. He has got two always to pass to, and he's actually going to go with the direct approach. Typical now, I'm trying to show it. It does work, but always to your short feet, always going to be two options. But now, of course, over to your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and once again, do come over to the second channel, because tomorrow, this tactic is going to be giving a youth-only Barcelona rebuild, so you can really go and see how it does using some pretty bad players, to be honest. So you can go over to Daily Josh in the description and you'll see it on the screen right there, because this tactic gets put to the ultimate test over a big rebuild with Barcelona. But to make this tactic, all you want to do is load in a create your own style, and we are going to opt for, obviously, that being the clean slate, and we are going to load in the 4-2-3-1. The first real big change is to go down here and change it to positive, so that is the first real big change in this tactic. I know it is another 4-2-3-1, but we've got to face it is one of the more popular formations in football at the moment, and Hansi Flick definitely operates in this way. Now, when it comes to the goalkeeper, we are going to operate with a sweeper keeper, who is simply going to come in on support, nothing too special, no custom instructions, we're keeping it pretty standard. We are then going to go with a wing back on the right hand side, who is going to be set to attack. We are also going to have exactly the same on the left hand side as well, because the wing backs in this system are actually incredibly attacking, and they are going to share two of the same instructions, that being stay wide and also set to tackle harder. One of the key things in this tactic is actually having these wing backs provide the width in the team, and also when they get forward, being the width also, because the inverted options do actually sit quite narrow, and therefore it offers a perfect overlapping opportunity. We are then going to go with two ball playing defenders. Again, it would not be a Barcelona team without these players, and they are going to have one instruction, that being set to tackle harder as well. Now, if you do find yourself with a team like Bromley, for example, where you are picking up way too many bookings, you can simply remove tackle harder. It would take a little bit of the intensity off the back line, but at the end of the day, if you are picking up loads of bookings, I would probably recommend it, to be honest, so that is completely up to you. Going over to the deep options in midfield, we are going to operate with a halfback on the right hand side, and on the left hand side, funny enough, it is going to be what already is preset. It is going to be the DLP. For the DLP, we are simply going to operate with the tackle harder instruction, and the halfback, again, we are simply going to go with that tackle harder as well. With the halfback, it is completely optional, but you could also add on things like shoot less often and take fewer risks if you really want to cement a more controlling game, but that is completely up to you. For me, I personally didn't really need to feel the need to do so. I do want to quickly say at this point of the video, if you are interested in getting all of these wonderful perks, that includes access to all three of the tactics, all of my tactics from this entire year, all of my rebuild files, console tactics, mobile tactics, one-on-one tactical help, and so much more. As you can see, you can come over and sign up to the Patreon. We've got a 20% deal off for any new sign-ups all the way through, I believe, until the end of January. So go on over and get involved. We've just hit 5k members again, and we're going to go into FM25 with some massive giveaways, loads of exclusive content. There is literally a piece of exclusive content every single day. Rebuild tactic, loads of stuff going on. Hopefully I see you over there. But let's carry on the rebuild and boost our way up to the midfield. So when it comes to the midfield, we are going to go over and have a little look at the central area, which is going to be the advanced playmaker. He's going to come in on support, and he is simply going to be on roam, moving into the channels, and also tackling harder. This is typically where someone like Pedri would play, or he can play out on the right hand side. I believe in the rebuild he played a lot of the time out on the right, so this was more where like a Firmino in would play, because obviously it was a youth-only project. Now, when we go to the right-hand side, where Pedri did actually play, we are going to go with the inverted winger on support, and we are also going to do the same on the left-hand side. So let's go through and talk about these players, because they do share the same roles. So we are going to have them set to hold up the ball, roam, sit narrow, not stay wider, sit narrow, and also tackle harder. Sorry, I don't know what I clicked right there. They're going to be your instructions on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, exactly the same. So sit narrow, hold up the ball, roam, and also tackle harder. Now, a little indicator in that rebuild, this really got the best out of our wingers. We had Fatty on the left wing, or Yamal on the left wing. They were sort of alternating between the two. And obviously, as I said, we had some real good plays in that youth-only project, so make sure you do go over and get involved, because it's a really good way to see how these tactics actually do over sometimes up to 10 years. So it's a really good indicator for that. The DLF is going to be set to attack, and he is simply going to be told to mark tighter and also tackle harder. And that is going to be all there is in terms of the player roles. But of course, over to the big stuff, that is going to be the team instructions. As a little reminder, we are going to go on the clean slate, set to positive. When it comes to the width, we are going to go all the way down to fairly narrow. We're going to focus down the left and the right hand side while playing out from the back. The tempo is going to be maxed out to higher, the passing all the way down to much shorter, and creative freedom is going to be set to be more expressive alongside of the low crosses. Now, without the be more expressive in the default version, you're just a little bit stagnant. With a team like Barcelona, you can afford to be quite attacking, therefore make sure you've got it on. In transition, we are going to counter press and counter while playing to anybody across the back line, taking short goal kicks. Once again, it is a possession-based tactic. Hansi Flick does control the games, but also he does let players go forward and go on the counter. And as you can see by this wonderful picture here, we're going to have the front four and the wing-backs going forward. You're not going to get caught out because you've got two sort of DMs, a halfback and a DLP, and of course two ball-playing defenders. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to deploy the high press with the much higher defensive line, step up more, and one up to more often. Now let's go over to the attacking. So with the attacking version, of course, we did use this with Bromley. Usually it is expected to be used when you're trying to get back into a game, but sometimes I do play an entire season with it, and with Bromley I thought, let's just go and try and outscore, which is exactly what we managed to do. Now the goalkeeper does remain exactly the same, as does the ball players. The wing backs don't. They are sort of going to be optional. Now, technically they stay the same, but dependent on the situation, they can change. So if you are playing an entire season, I would keep them exactly the way that you see them. But if you are going sort of down the path of I need a goal desperately, get them taking more risks, get them crossing more often. So that is completely down to your personal situation. The DLP on the left does remain the same. The Volante comes in instead of the halfback on support, on tackle harder. The inverted wingers on the right and the left, similar, but now have shoot more often on each side. The AP up to attack on roam, move into channels and tackle harder. And the advanced forward comes in to make runs in behind a different approach to that DLF. And he is going to be on tackle harder and mark tighter. In terms of the actual overall sort of tactic, we are still going to be on the clean slate, on the attacking mentality. So we are going to go up by one there. In terms of the whip, that does remain the same. The crosses also remain the same, as does all of this good stuff, because that is how the DNA is. We do play out from the back. We do want to focus down the left and the right. We are going to be more expressive with the higher tempo, and also the passing does remain on much shorter. In transition, because we are in a bit of a rush to grab a goal, we are going to add distribute quickly, counter press, take short goal kicks to anybody across the back line, and when it comes to out of possession, we're going to rev it all the way up again to the much higher, max out the trigger press, get stuck in, and also set to step up more. Now to a defensive tactic, again, to defend a game out with, or if you are playing as, you know, something like an Ipswich in the Premier League or something like that, you want to be cautious, this is the perfect way you can do that. Now, in terms of the goalkeeper, he always remains the same. The ball players always remain the same. The wing-backs don't on this occasion. They drop back to defend on stay wide and tackle harder. A DM comes in, opposed to the halfback, on tackle harder. The DLP does remain the same. The inverted wingers go back to being the same as the default, so hold up ball, roam, sit narrow, and tackle harder. The AP goes back to the default, and the DLF actually now is on support, opposed to attack in the default, on tackle harder and mark tighter. Now in terms of the actual team instructions, again, the clean slate, this time all the way down to balanced. The attack and width never changes because we want to be quite a compact and compressed team. The final third also remains remains exactly the same. This time, not a direct urgency to go down the left and right, just play out from the back. And you can probably imagine how this tactic does change. Of course, we are going to naturally go down with the tempo being set to slightly lower. The passing does remain the same, but this time dribble less. So we really are going to add on a much more possession-based game. I did sort of counter that by adding be more expressive on, because I want this tactic to be not just a useless side-to-side passing. I want to go forward and score goals as well, but maybe with a little bit more sort of a sensible approach. So make sure you've got both of those on. In transition, we're simply going to counter press and leave that blank when it comes to possession has been won, and we are therefore going to play to anyone across the back line. Again, it's more than secure because now the players are even on defend with the fullback, so a very secure way of playing. And when it comes to the out of possession, we are simply going to have it like this. So it is again a little bit different. We are going to have it drop to higher with the high press. The trigger press does remain the same, but we are going to stay on our feet and also step up more with that defensive line. And that's going to give you not one, not two, but three versions of that Hansi Flick 4-2-3-1, especially made really for the rebuild, but also because it was requested. So make sure you go on over and check that out as well. And if you have enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got tons of tactics coming out before FM25. We do not slow down on this channel. We always provide the content, so make sure you are subscribed and whack on that bell, because the rest of this year is going to be good, let alone when FM25 comes out. It is going to be incredible. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.